I'd like to just invite everyone to take a few moments to let us all arrive. We're all here, our bodies are here, but maybe giving the rest of us time to just fully get here. So maybe in keeping with Ben's guidance, perhaps putting aside devices, pens, paper, pencil, whatever all else, and taking a little time to tend to this instrument here, this one who is sitting here. Maybe even turning attention inward for just a few moments, with eyes open or closed, whatever feels right. And just taking note of this body sitting here. The points of contact between the body and the supporting surfaces of the floor, the chair, the sofa, the cushion. Perhaps noticing this body breathing. You might even want to give yourself a little smile of welcome to your own self. Ah, here you are. Come in, sit down. Good to see you. Maybe taking note of what is unfolding in your mind and heart just now. And whatever it is, letting it be what it is. Just here. Maybe you're focused or distracted, preoccupied, or worried, frustrated, in pain, sad, happy, joyful, bored, uncomfortable. Could you simply allow it to be this way because it is? Right now, in this moment, it's like this. Letting this moment be enough, this breath. And as you're ready, allowing your attention to return to this beautiful space that we've created together, this space of this retreat, allowing eyes to open if they've been closed. It's a privilege to be here with you at this turning point in our calendar, if nothing else, and to be the first teacher, presenter. And I've been thinking a lot about how I would like us to spend this time together. And as I reflect on sort of where we are and where we've traveled, especially this past year, it's been a bumpy road. And I've started to get to a point where I'm a bit saturated with clever comments about how horrendously terrible this year has been. Not to say that it hasn't been, but perhaps there is some benefit in looking at what we might have learned in this year. What was the silver lining, so to speak, we would say, one of the exercises in mindful self-compassion. So I'm hopeful that our time together will allow us to reflect on that just a little bit. But really what I wanted to talk about is, this is a time just past for many of us celebrating Hanukkah and Christmas, where gifts are exchanged and everything is wrapped up in a nice, neat little bow, in a little package. And I always like that image because I think we think that we should get to that point when we're all wrapped up in a nice, neat little package, when we've got it all sorted out. It's my favorite expression that I learned in traveling in the UK is this whole idea of being sorted. Not sordid with a D, but sorted, S-O-R-T-E-D, two entirely different words. But, did you get that issue sorted? Have you gotten this problem sorted? Have you gotten yourself sorted? And I'm a proponent of us being unsorted. Could we allow ourselves to be, as one meditation teaches, the goal of practice is to become a compassionate mess. Could we allow ourselves to be unsorted at this moment in time, to be just who we are, just like this? Could we be unfinished? Another thing, we sort of feel like somehow at some point we're going to get finished. We're going to get everything wrapped up. We're going to figure everything out. We're going to find the answer to the question of the meaning of life and everything. But would we be able to let go and allow ourselves to be unfinished, to be a work in progress, and to be okay with that? And self-compassion certainly supports us in being able to meet ourselves just as we are, as enough. And could we in this moment, with all our dissatisfaction with perhaps how this year has unfolded or what's ahead, to simply be, as my dear friend Julie just noted in the chat, perfectly imperfect. I have a little quote from Mark Nepo I'd like to share. It speaks to this, I think. Today I am sad, or so I thought. But more I am tired of keeping up with all that doesn't matter. I'm sipping coffee, listening to rain. I like watching the leaves hang in long weather. I like to close my eyes and feel the rain quiet the earth. I welcome that quieting. I like to have my habits of going here and there interrupted. I was caught in the rain when coming here. The cool blotches sink in all over. The many lists I carry in my shirt are wet. I take them out to dry and all the tasks have blurred. At last, unreadable, forgettable. We carry these lists near our heart and finger them like worry beads. It doesn't matter what's on them. They are the thieves. And it is the insidious virtue to have everything in order before we live that is the greatest thief. It is the insidious virtue to have everything in order before we live that is the greatest thief. I feel the rain drip down my neck. I think I'm becoming unfinished. Unfinished. And perhaps we can be not only unsorted and unfinished, but maybe a little bit wild. Wildness is an interesting idea. We are thinking animals. We are still animals at some level. And I want to read one more piece to you from a beautiful book by Philip Simmons called Learning to Fall. It's a beautiful, touching, poignant book. Philip Simmons, Learning to Fall. He says, wild animals, of course, do not have to accept themselves. They can simply be. As thinking animals, we must work to create some space for our wild natures, to give them room to roam. Whether keeping our awareness on the breath as we meditate, on our body's rhythm as we run, on our sensations as we sink our hands in bread dough, our practice anchors us in our bodies, takes us further into our wild selves. With time, months, years, decades, lifetimes, did you think this would be easy? Such practice begins to open a space within us. Call it a wildlife preserve, a space where our wild selves can breathe while our judging, criticizing, worrying, doubting minds are kept safely on the other side of the fence. With practice, we find ourselves living more and more inside this preserve, a place we come to recognize as our true home. So what could we do inside this wildlife preserve of this time we have together, this space between years, the challenge of the year behind and the promise of the year ahead? We may be feeling any one of a million different things at this point in time. Hopeless, hopeful, and everything in between. So I'm going to introduce you to the possibility of practicing in a particular way that is inspired by yet one more thing I like to read, a short poem from a poet I literally just discovered yesterday. His name is Daniel Baylis. I'm going to put his website in the chat if you'd like to look him up. But for now, just take in these words. It's called Forms of Love, and this will be the invitation for you just now, and we'll have a little practice to go with it. Sometimes I think, what's the point? Why be good? Why care? Why try to change things? Why, when we continue to wreck each other? Yet I keep moving forward. Not because I am confident of any outcomes, but because I am still susceptible to sweet things. A sunset, a cup of coffee, a warm blanket, the smell of lilacs, the sound of my mother's laughter, and all the other common forms of love. And at other times I think, what would the world look like if each of us decided to become a form of love? What would the world look like if each of us decided to become a form of love? I'd like to give that a try if you're okay with it. What form of love would you like to be in 2021? You know, we're all about New Year's resolutions, which I find to be challenging and frustrating in their own way. And also there's an implication in a New Year's resolution that we weren't okay as we were and we need to fix something or change something. And perhaps this is a good way of setting intention, but it gets complicated. And what if we just make a simple resolution to be a form of love? So we're going to practice together in a little meditation, reflection, and we're going to consider, what form of love would you like to become in 2021? And please make sure that your circle of love is wide enough to include yourself in any of these options that I'll be offering up here. These are just some different things to consider, to try on, so to speak. Just see how it feels to be some of these different forms of love. So taking the time to maybe settle in, again, if you'd like to turn your attention inward, to allow your eyes to close or your gaze to soften, making sure that your body is as comfortable as it can be in this particular moment. Maybe dropping into awareness of your breath. You might even want to offer yourself some form of soothing or supportive touch, a hand on the heart or some other place on the body to just remind you of the way in which you would like to practice, the way in which you would like to cultivate a form of love. Maybe allowing your heart to gently open with the warmth and tenderness. And considering first, perhaps, would you like to be a form of love that I might call patient love? Allowing yourself to be a compassionate mess and fully human, perfectly imperfect. Setting a warm and kind intention toward yourself and the world, and just letting life unfold in its own time, on its own terms. Letting go of making anything happen, and instead showing up for what is here. Allowing yourself to be unsorted, unfinished, wild. Just this patient love. Trying it on. Perhaps considering, is there an image or words that you could use to remind yourself of this particular quality of love for yourself if it resonates? Maybe where your mind went was romantic love. Maybe seeing if you could resolve to let go of something that blocks you from opening your heart to another or to yourself, to meet that deep need to treasure and be treasured, to cherish and be cherished, to behold the beloved or to be the beloved. Letting longing lead you to love like thirst leads you to water. Would you like to be romantic love? Again, is there an image? Are there words? Maybe to make note of, to bring you back here. How about sensory love? Wherever you are, whatever your surroundings, could you take the time to lose yourself in the sensation of being human on a regular basis and open your sense gates? Could you resolve to simply notice and savor and love the smell of baking bread, the first sip of an evening glass of wine, the soft furry ears of your animal companion, the eyes of a beloved, the warm comfort of a soft blanket on a cold night? Can you let yourself fall in love with what your senses serve you? Sensory love. How about affirmative love? Tapping into that yang compassion, the strong, motivating, protecting, providing aspect of self-compassion, reflecting on what you stand for rather than what you stand against, even if it may feel like you stand alone at times. Saying yes to what is a core value and showing your love by breathing life into it and expressing it in the world through your being in the world. Affirmative love. Standing up. Perhaps the love that you wish to be is parental love. To take yourself or another person under your own wing. To protect, to provide, to nurture, to teach, to guide and inspire. To rejoice in their joys and to dry their tears of sorrow. And mostly to be patient, present, and kind. Might you consider, if it feels right, reparenting yourself in the process? With patience. Parental love. And these forms of love, of course, overlap and intertwine in various ways. We don't have to choose just one. This is an all-you-can-eat buffet, so to speak. How about fierce love? Resolving in your heart and mind to stand up each day for what is right and what needs to be said or done. Valuing justice, fairness, inclusion through your thoughts, your words, your deeds. Feeling that strong back and soft front of fierce self-compassion and letting your strength be felt by others as well. Expressing your love through fierce love. Sometimes when we are deprived of a thing, we realize how much we actually valued it and maybe took it for granted in the past. You don't know what you've got till it's gone, as Joni Mitchell said. So perhaps many of us have discovered the value of human connection that has been kept from us in some ways these past months. Maybe what we want to express in our way of being, in our resolve for 2021, is to be affiliative love. Making these human bonds, these connections in any form, virtual or in person, whatever is possible, reaching out, reconnecting with others to strengthen and build your human family of support, collaboration, encouragement, celebration, reflection, safety, nurturing, a reminder of our common humanity. Perhaps we need, as all humans do, a little smile here of joyful love. Might we want to be joyful love in 2021, opening up the joy of surprise and humor in your life, letting yourself be endlessly amused, frequently entertained, and constantly surprised by your own mind and heart and what the world has to offer. Keeping a light and smiling heart whenever possible, maintaining good humor even in dark moments. Perhaps smiling through the tears if you must, because they water the seeds of new things and new discoveries. Joyful love. Persistent love. Much like patient love, but maybe with a little more of an edge. Persistent love is knowing that great works take time, and showing up is 90% of the battle. When we face obstacles to expressing our love, we can maintain a warm, flexible resolve to continue, to persist. Sometimes you have to fake it until you make it, but you stay true to your intention, resolved, persistent. With warmth. So many forms of love. A child's love. Perhaps what you need sometimes, maybe now, maybe some other point, is to give yourself the gift of releasing into the support of another person now and then. For a time to idolize and adore and open your heart to someone who seems stronger, more confident, and wiser for a time so you can rest. To resign for a little time from the role of what my dear friend Shar Wilkins calls general manager of the universe. Can you resign as general manager of the universe for a little while and be cared for and guided? Just for now. knowing that whoever holds us in these moments feels this way sometimes too, and may need this same release at some other time. We all need somebody to lean on. So many forms of love that we could become. Forgiving love, playful love, curious love. Invent your own love. Here is your chance. Try a few things on for size. What form of love sings to your heart? What might be the thread that connects you to life and to humanity and gets you out of bed and into the world at large? Take a few minutes. Connect with what's most important to you in the midst of all else that may not be so important after all. All those lists, all those agendas. When we set all those things aside, what's important? What form of love will you be? Could you be? What would the world look like if each of us decided to become a form of love? What form of love sings to your heart? To share another poem by Daniel Baylis. Again, I've placed his website in the chat. What is your profession? Not what makes you money. Rather, what do you wish to profess to the world? What is your statement? What is your anchor? What is your North Star? What do you seek? What do you offer? To whom do you give your love? Tell me, what is your heart's profession? Whatever form of love you chose to become, and you may have several, see if you can find words or images that will help cement them in your mind and in your heart. Is there a little vow or a devotion that you could repeat, an image you could call to mind, some words you could say, something that would help keep you on course and help you find your way back to the course, back to this intention when you wander, as you certainly will. How will you remember what kind of love you want to become? What would the world look like if each of us decided to become a form of love? Maybe just taking a few moments to let go of needing to search for the right form of love and to just not forget this one here, this tender beating heart that is just fine the way it is, perfectly imperfect. Giving a little space for all that this heart has endured. Giving ourselves a little encouragement, a little warmth, a little gratitude for all that we've been and done. All that we've faced. Letting go of needing to become sorted or finished or tame. Embracing our wildness, our unfinishedness. Our unsortedness. What would it be like to let go of needing ourselves to be any different than we are in this moment? I would love to see what form of love you wish to be. Please feel free to type into the chat what you came up with, what touched you or moved you or inspired you in some way. Beautiful. Like unconditional, persistent love. Ah. You get to make up your own form of love, as many of you have. So be creative. I made up most of these earlier today, so they are not chiseled in stone somewhere. They are not fixed. They can be what you need them to be. You can answer that question, that fundamental question of self-compassion of what do I need? What form of love do I need? Would I like to be? Thank you to all of you for being here, and look forward to being with you over these sessions today and tomorrow. Thank you for staying up late or getting up early or whatever it's taken for you to be here for us to practice together. It's been an honor and a privilege to be with you. Happy New Year.